Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Inner Republic. In today's episode, I want to talk about my weekend. I spent a weekend at a digital detox retreat, and I just kind of want to talk about the retreat itself, and then also some of the insights that I had, some of the realizations, some of the things I did, and why I think everybody, especially if you're like in the online space or if you're a creator, I think everybody at this point should probably do one of these if they need a hard reboot and reset as far as their relationship with their phones, their devices. But before we get into the episode, like, subscribe. I understand talking about a digital detox on a podcast, on a YouTube video is kind of ironic and kind of funny. Nonetheless, though, here we are. If you can send this to somebody, that would be awesome. Just anything to help grow the channel would be great. So, first off, why did I do a digital detox retreat? Well, first and foremost, my wife is currently away in Florida, and we have our first kid on the way in October, and we are moving at the end of June, which is the end of this month for me recording this podcast. And I just don't really foresee any time in the future where I'm gonna have any time to myself. And I like seclusion here and there. I'm a introvert, extrovert type of person. I'm extroverted with my people, but I find I recharge my battery very well when I'm by myself. And so this opportunity kind of presented itself to where I would have the weekend alone anyways because my wife would be gone. And so I just really took it upon myself to want to do something special with that, and that it might be the last time I get completely alone for a long while. And so here in Austin, Texas, luckily there's no shortage of these kinds of things. Now, when I say retreat, that kind of puts an image in people's head of like, a five-star resort or any. That's not what this was. This was out in the hill country out here in Austin, about an hour or so away from me. And in the round mountain, it's not mountains, but 200 acres. And these people did this awesome thing where they built these little cabins. It's called Here Now, or now here, sorry, now here, and it's a play on it, like now here, nowhere type of thing. Cheeky. But there's like these 4 or 5 cabins. There's a communal kind of clubhouse area, and it is dropped out. It's like 200 acres though, which is cool because there's like so many places to walk. There's like a little lake on it. But there's no Wi-Fi in the cabins, and there's very, very spotty cell service. And then in the cabins, they give you an opportunity to check your phone into a Yonder bag and all that kind of stuff. So you can really disconnect. Now, full disclosure, I still had my phone on me. My wife was not happy with this idea because she is pregnant and she is away in Florida. So I had like one bar. So I did keep my phone out and available, but I had my social media completely bricked up and blocked, could not get on it because the brick is here at home. No Wi-Fi. So and enough to where I could send a text or two to my wife when need be, or my parents or something like that, or the place where my dogs were staying at. But for all intents and purposes, I was completely offline. And so this place also has like a cool sauna on the property. They have these really cool like wood fire burning hot tubs that each cabin has. So again, it's very like, you got to start the fires, the whole 9 yards. Not no real technology going on here other than like you have a fridge in your room and a microwave if you need it. So they had grills so you could grill food. I grilled steaks and all that kind of stuff. So really, really cool property. And I went from Friday to Sunday, and I'm recording this podcast on Monday. So things are still fresh. My intent with this weekend was, in the past 8 months or so, I have gotten way more into creation in the online space, hence this podcast and the YouTube videos and those that follow me on Instagram. And those that have followed me for a long while know I have a very rough relationship with social media and all that kind of stuff. It is my vice. It's not alcohol. It's not, well, it used to be pornography, but not anymore. I go to social media for distraction, for quick dopamine hits, and it just becomes this compulsive thing. And it's been really hard for me recently with Instagram specifically because I'm creating, I am putting out content and reels, but I find myself getting back into this really bad habit with my phone. So one of the reasons I wanted to do this was to try to have just a hard reboot, reset, which is something I needed. Not everybody, somebody might be like, wow, you really need, like, listen, hey, no judgment on myself. I'm not judging myself for this. This is what I needed to have a hard reboot and reset with my relationship with social media. So there was that element of it. Two was, I find, I meditate. I spend a lot of time in silence. But by going and intentionally being kind of in silence, away from everything, distractions for 2 days, I felt like there could be an opportunity for some spiritual awakening, some deeper insights, mindset, nervous system reset, which today my HRV, which, I've harped on HRV before, but it is a decent marker here and there. It's like 120, it's either 142 or 124, which I know is a big difference, but nonetheless, it's very high right now. And so I just wanted to go experience what this would be like. And so it was kind of my intention to do this. Now, also full disclosure, I did take psychedelics. And I know some of you might be like, wow, Austin guy goes to hill country to take psychedelics. What a non-wild thing. And he's talking about it on a podcast. I get it. It's very cliche. I understand. But I did. And it was truly incredible, which I'll talk about. So first off, though, I want to talk about just disconnecting from the phone, from social media. I have found that for myself, I'm going to talk about myself. I don't want this to I'm not judging you or anything like that. I'm talking about why I did this. And hey, maybe you resonate with this and maybe go like, damn, I feel like he's talking to me. My phone, and I think all of us know this, but for me, is my main source of distraction to the point where even if I'm not on my phone, it's like in my back, it's in my subconscious. It's like, hey, reach for it. Hey, pick it up. Hey, what's going on social media? So I could not actually be on my phone, but sitting across from somebody, having a conversation and not be fully engaged with that conversation because there's somewhere in my mind that's thinking about what could be going on my phone or the news or social media or etc. It's like this background buzzing noise that fully went away. And it went away pretty quick. Some people might be like, oh man, like only 2 days. After the first day, and it was a half day because I didn't check in until Friday at 3. By that evening, by around 9 o'clock or so, that went completely away. I just forgot about my phone for the most part, or social media, or even I was so in where I was. I was watching the sunset, playing guitar, listening to birds chirp. And the first couple hours, I definitely was wanting to reach for my phone or right. But it eventually went away. And now post weekend, I don't really have an urge to go to it right now. And funny enough, I did post something on social media, and I'm going to talk about one of the things that I'm instituting now in my day to day to hopefully have a better, healthy relationship moving forward. Is that when I was going to go post, all of a sudden I could actually tune into what that internal chatter looked like. It was like I was being pulled, right? And it was causing me to speed up my movement and speed up my thinking. And I just took a breath and I was like, hey, I'm going to get on social media here in a minute and I'm going to post, but I'm going to do it under my own control. It's not going to be a compulsion. Social media and phone usage is a compulsion. That is why people reach for it at stoplights. That is why I reach for it at a stoplight. It is a compulsion. And so that was a really big thing for me this weekend, was just understanding the relationship I hold with my phone as compulsion. And it causes me to speed up, to disconnect to the present moment in a way that logically we know, but you don't really feel. It's like I use the analogy of if all you've ever ate is processed foods, you don't know how good you can feel by eating whole foods for a week. And you're like, oh, this is how you can feel, right? It's the same thing. We're so just used to having our phone on us 24/7, having news available 24/7, having social media available 24/7. And it's so pervasive that doing a weekend like this, I think, is necessary for us to go oh, that's what it's actually like to be present. I know what it's like to be present, but oh, this is what it actually feels like. Things are quieter. My brain is quieter. I can slow down my walking. I don't know. It's a weird thing. I feel like I'm walking a bit slower. I'm paying attention when I'm walking. I'm paying attention to things around me. And again, some of you out there might be like, wow, you needed this weekend to do that. Yeah, I did. Whatever, I did. Maybe you don't. Cool. You have probably a way healthier relationship with your phone than I do. Good for you. I wish I was that way. I am not. Okay. So that was kind of number one, just the relationship with my phone and social media. That's kind of what my insight was there, just how disconnected it's making me from my reality. And I'll be honest, one of the reasons I think this has happened recently is I've done this thing where now that my wife is pregnant and we have our first kid on the way and we're moving, I've done this thing where I've convinced myself I need to create a following online to be successful or to have an opportunity to make more money in the future when I already own a brick and mortar business. I make just enough money to pay our bills and like everything is fine. But I've done this thing like this, like, oh, I got to support from my family and I got to do, and I'm doing all this content creation in hopes that in the future, it will maybe turn into something. But what that's causing me to do right now is be completely disconnected in a moment in time where I need to be the most connected with my wife. I need to be most connected in the present moment. And so it's helped this weekend helped me realize that as well, where it's like content creation for me is like I just want to share things that are authentic to me, that are meaningful to me, and if it resonates with people, cool. And hey, in the long run, if any of you watching this want mentorship from me, that's awesome. And like that would be great. And like that is one of the things I do. I have two people I'm mentoring right now. But like I have a business and like things are fine. Like I don't need to build some empire. Like what am I doing? Right? I want to create content, but I want to create it from an energy source of true creation and love and authenticity, not like lack or scarcity or fear, which is kind of where I started to get to with creating content. It was like, and of course that content was not doing well. Funny enough. So like just also understanding that was my relationship with content creation, which was not healthy at all. Second thing with this weekend was I purposely took psychedelics with me, magic mushrooms, and I did them Saturday morning. At first thing when I woke up on an empty stomach, I wanted to watch the sunrise. I've been on a bit of a spiritual journey the past couple months, and well, to be fair, I would say in the past 6 years, but it's really deepened in the past couple months. No surprise, my wife being pregnant has caused me to really want to open up more spiritual areas for me. I'm already a spiritual guy. I mean, my dad, I grew up with a hippie for a father. My dad's almost 80 years old and he was in his prime during the hippie era and was very in it. So I grew up with that being modeled around me. Um, but I am finding my own relationship with God and spirituality and everything like that. And I kind of just, I wanted the opportunity to let my barriers come down with the use of psychedelics with the intention of like, hey, let's just fully open your heart up to spirituality and see what comes through during this trip. Now, this is not my first time doing psychedelics. I've done them a handful of times. So I was safe and I had music with me. I know how to set setting and everything like that. And it was glorious. It was truly glorious. I cried, I laughed. I had a deep, deep visual at one point of what I later found out was something called the flower of life, which is part of sacred geometry. I had no clue what that was, but I visualized it in the sky. I saw it. I had conversations, with God, and I realized that so much of my life, and especially recently, I was pulling myself out of the present moment with this feeling of not having enough, not being enough, like this lack of enoughness, and this deep realization that in each moment, this truly is enough because it's the moment you have. There doesn't need to be anything more, but as humans, especially in our society in the West in 2026, we have this continual background noise of this current moment isn't enough. It's not enough because you need more love, you need more money, the rug could be pulled out. Like so many things cause our brains to convince us that this moment isn't enough. And in that lack of enoughness, you're just slightly pulled out of the present moment and you're not able to fully immerse and enjoy it. And it's sad because I believe like each moment is its own perfect thing and there is enoughness. And when we can tap into that enoughness, that's where you feel abundance and gratitude and love and all of the beautiful emotions that it means to be a human. And I think some people get fearful of this idea of contentment, happiness, enoughness because they feel like, well, if I can't pull energy from a place of lack, how am I going to be successful? How am I going to work? And it's weird because what I concluded after this trip was all I could argue that any of my success, true success, has been pulled from an energy of gratitude, an energy of faith and belief that things are going to work out for the best, not from an energy of fear or scarcity or anxiety or high stress. Nothing's actually worked out well when I've pulled from those energy sources, but we convince ourselves consciously or subconsciously, that's where we have to operate from. And it's not true. When we operate from a place of enoughness, we actually end up like more quote unquote successful. And it's like easy. So that was one of the deeper epiphanies I had. I wrote a letter to my unborn son, August. Um, I texted my father. I sat next to a lake. And I wanted to leave a piece of myself there. And that piece is this piece that I kind of keep coming back to, where I feel like for a lot of my life and even recently, I have pulled energy from places that don't really feed longevity. And I don't mean longevity from health, I mean longevity from like happiness, from presence, from staying in something. I'm always pulling from this, like, there needs to be more. There needs to be more. I need to do more. There needs to be more money. There needs to be more this. There needs to be a security. It's the need for security is a lack of faith, right? And so I kind of left this weekend with a true belief and a faith that, like, hey, you're on the right path. I am trying to be the best person that I can be. I'm trying to help other people I love. I share, I teach. I try to make the right choice in every moment. I try to, you know, not live a life of sin or like whatever that means, like, just I try to be as good of a person as I can. And in and of itself, like, that's enough. Right. And, I want to provide for my family, like all those things. And I am. And that's enough. And have faith that in making those daily decisions and trying to live a good life and trying to help others, everything's going to work out. And like, you don't have to be fearful, and just have faith, have belief that you are walking the right path. And so it was just a very, as you can imagine, deeply spiritual, just knowingness. And, the biggest thing with those psychedelic trips and the spiritual is like integration. Okay, so how are you going to integrate that? And for me, that's like making sure that, so for example, creation for me, right? I don't get wrapped right back into pulling from a place of lack or fear or whatever it is. So now I've set up a chair in my house where that's my Instagram chair. That's my social media chair. So I can only scroll social media. I can only post, scroll, whatever when I sit in that chair. And that chair also has my brick, which is when I touch the brick, it blocks all my social media. So if I want to post and scroll, the only place I can do it is not in my car, is not at my work. It is in that chair in my house. So I have to go sit down. I have to make the choice to go sit down, tap the brick and unbrick my phone and get on social media. That right in and of itself is causing friction to where I don't really want to get on it. But if I do, it's a conscious choice. Okay. The chair is uncomfortable. It's metal. Okay. And then the fact that I've made the agreement with myself, if I want to leave that chair, I have to brick my phone again. Because I know for me, my discipline and willpower with social media is not good enough that I could just be like, well, if I'm not in the chair, I can't get on it. I will find myself in the next week or two at a stoplight back on social media. That's just me. Maybe some of you have way better discipline and willpower. But like, you need to institute practices after having some of these insights. If you just go like, okay, yeah, that was a cool knowing, then nothing's really going to fundamentally change. Like, you will live in that mind space for a little bit, but the farther away you get from the experience, the more you're just going to go back to old ways of thinking, old habits. So that's one of the things. Slowing down also is a big one. Like today I was shopping and I felt myself kind of speeding up, and I intentionally slowed my speed down with how I walked. I took a breath, and just in that immediate slow down, my brain cleared up and I was back in the present moment. I think so many of us are moving way faster than we think we are. And then when you really feel like you actually like deliberately slow down your cadence of walking is kind of a crazy thing. Another thing is pulling from a place of enjoyment. This was another big one that I had this weekend, was this realization that like the energy that I pull from a lot of time is like, I'm not optimized. I made an Instagram post about this. I have not optimized my life for enjoyment. I have optimized my life for, I would say again, try like not even success, but I don't really know, what other people told me what I should optimize it for. I should optimize it for longevity. I should optimize it for fitness. I should optimize it for whatever. And so this weekend, I actually sat down and I made a list of like all the things I enjoy, the people I enjoy, the practices I enjoy, the foods, the drinks, etc. And I want to optimize for that. Now, that does not mean gluttony. Let's be clear, because part of my enjoyment is being healthy, right? Because you can see how that could go too far one way. Enjoyment for me is the Aristotelian mean. But like I have changed my training style 4 or 5 different times because like, well, I need to be healthier. I need my HRV to be higher. And I stopped doing CrossFit and all that. And I realized like I have the most fun and enjoyment when I'm doing CrossFit. Bodybuilding's great. Olympic weightlifting is fantastic. But I always fall back to CrossFit. And I ask myself, why? Is it because I've done it for 13 years? Partly, probably. But it's because like I just enjoy myself the most when I'm doing CrossFit. It's like adult recess. I love being in a group setting, joking with people. I love pushing myself. And it's just enjoyable. So I'm sticking with CrossFit. It's enjoyable for me. You know, having a drink of alcohol here and there. It's enjoyable to me. Like oddly enough, I enjoy the taste of bourbon. Like, okay, so nitro cold brew coffee, I enjoy it, right? Certain kinds of music I enjoy. Like going and seeing live music. Like there are things in my life where like I've cut out because I feel like I have to or I need to for whatever reason because so and so said so. And it's like, I'm done. I want to optimize my life for enjoyment. And I want to be smiling a lot more than I'm frowning. Right. I mean, we should all want that. And that's what I want to teach my son. Like, I want my son to enjoy his life. I don't want my son to hate his life. And so that was another thing is like, what lessons do I want to teach my son? I want my son to know he can enjoy life and still be successful and show his emotions, but also work through hard obstacles, like all of these kinds of things. And so that was another big thing for me was like, can I start optimizing my life for enjoyment and not feel guilty about it? I feel like we build so much guilt into society around like if you're enjoying yourself somehow you're not being serious or you're not going again some arbitrary thing, you're not going to make the amount of money that you should or you're not going to be where you should. Who's making the should? Some committee of shoulders? Like, come on now, what are we doing, right? So these are just some deep epiphanies I've had over the weekend. I feel like it was incredible. I feel like also we have so many opportunities in our day-to-day life to reconnect with reality, but again, instead what most of us do is disconnect because we pull for our phones. And so, again, another way to integrate is like, do I need a full 2-day digital detox psychedelic trip to like reconnect with reality? No. If I'm being diligent and deliberate with my everyday life and realizing I'm given all of these small moments in the in-between phases of from coaching my classes to walking out the door where I can take a breath and reconnect with the present moment and listen to the birds chirp. All right, this is mindfulness practice. But, sometimes it does take us getting slapped across the face with like a weekend experience. Like I had to be reminded of it, even for somebody like me who I meditate a lot and all that kind of stuff. But there's just so much noise right now in society. Like everything is vying for your attention. News 24/7, like I said, social media, like all of it. And I honestly think a lot of us are going to need some kind of like hardcore reboot to the nervous system and the brain to actually feel what I'm talking about and then deliberately come back into reality and society because none of us are like living in an ashram or anything like that and try to reintegrate ourselves in the healthiest way we can. And who knows, maybe every 6 months or a year, I personally am going to need something like this. And maybe that's the fact. But if you ever have the opportunity to do a digital detox retreat or a digital detox cabin or something like that, I highly recommend it. You don't necessarily need to go to a place like that. I will say it's a lot easier to do it when there's absolutely no Wi-Fi and no service. You could try to do it at home. It's probably hard. I mean, you could unplug your Wi-Fi and just like completely shut your phone off. If you have that willpower and that discipline, again, more power to you. But I would highly recommend it. Listen, if psychedelics aren't your thing, not no medical advice here, not recommending that or anything like that, just giving you my experience, and it was a beautiful experience. I felt like I connected deeper with my spiritual life this weekend, and my heart and my soul are wide open right now, and yeah, it was a beautiful weekend. And now I'm in the race right now to get the home and get the kid here and then just kind of like the next big stages of my life. It felt like this weekend was literally the last stepping stone to turning the chapter into a whole new portion of my life, almost ritualistic in that way. So that was another cool aspect of it. But I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Again, like I said, I'm doing this just to share my experiences in life and insights I've had and anything like that. And at the end of the day, if you ever want mentorship or you're interested in something like that, specifically men, if you're looking to live healthier, happier lives, I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I needed a weekend away to have a better relationship with my phone. But at the end of the day, I've done a lot of things that have worked very well for me, and I have access to a lot of things that a lot of other people don't have access to because I'm a functional practitioner. So, if mentorship is something you'd ever be interested in, please reach out to me. But otherwise, I hope you guys are just enjoying the information. I hope you're learning something, engaging with something, and helping you maybe approach things a little bit differently. So, again, like, subscribe, share, all the things, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.